So thank you for joining us today, Ben. It's really good to have you with us.
Thank you, Amy. Lovely to be here.
I'm looking forward to speaking with you, and a lovely setting behind you for the podcast for those people that are watching on YouTube.
Thank you. Thank you. This is one of my chairs, one of my timepieces. And you'll see and hear later on that I like graphic beauty and form, and that's replicated in the texture and detail you'll see in the pieces behind me.
Fantastic. So, can you tell us a bit about your organisation that birthed those two items behind you, please?
I can indeed. So my studio is Rousseau Design Limited. I've been running since 2001. I've been back in the UK for 3 years now. Had 5 years in the States recently, but basically produce beautiful collectible design or functional art, and that is for the kind of high-end home or the corporate space or even a public space as well. So I have a passion for lighting design and how that really transforms a space and actually commands an emotion and a connection with people. So something I can talk about in a bit more detail, but it's a very specialist design that basically has a connection with people. And
Yeah,
that's really important for me.
fantastic. And so your organisation's coming up 23 and a half
Yeah,
years.
yes. So it's
Good
it's
for you.
quite some time, and we're a small organisation. I have a few core team that work closely with me, and then I have a huge team of very specialist people that I tap into depending on what sort of projects I'm working with. From the kind of realms of prop makers, custom car fabricators, specialist manufacturers, also then design drawing specialists that kind of do different levels of high high detail kind of presentation work. So I have a kind of small marketing team that kind of help me with the day to day and kind of operations.
Mhm.
And depending on the project, we kind of draft in different kind of arms of the team to support us with projects. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's lean and efficient is what we try and keep it.
Brilliant. And in terms of the challenges that you're up against as a small business that's very specialist, what kind of challenges are you as a leader facing currently?
So you know, there's there's a level of stress sometimes, time frame, where a project might come to us, and I, from years of experience, have an ability to create the concept, and
Mhm.
it needs to get from a physical idea in my head down onto paper so we can present it as a project.
Yeah.
Then there's the means for getting the drawings and the concept into a kind of manufactured state.
Yeah.
And so even though my team know me pretty well from the projects that we've done, these ideas kind of come into, they haven't been done before. So the nature of our work, everything we do is bespoke or
Mhm.
custom, or hasn't been done before. So we have to kind of work it out, and there's an element of risk, there's an element of excitement, but there's a need for um, me keeping having my team on board with it. So there's
Yeah.
I am a big thing of kind of lead by example. What I want and what I mean by that is I need to show my team where I'm prepared to get into a project which I don't know quite the full direction.
Yeah.
Yes, I know the kind of rough path we're going to go on, but I have to kind of lead the team and show them where I need them to kind of fill their positions. And sometimes that is a little bit organic because
Mhm.
the project, we don't quite know where it's going to go. But my thing is, communication is absolutely paramount. It's like as you're going, involve the team in what's happening. Try and offload some of my ideas and creative aspects so that they can get on board with the project as soon as possible.
Uh-huh.
um, the sooner they can kind of understand what I'm doing and where the creative drive or direction is going, then they can help with where, okay, we know we're going down this route. Ben, do we need to find a metal worker for this? Or is this
Yeah.
do we need a specialist electronics or programming guy? Okay, well, I can start preparing a drawing or some specification with how, a programming sheet might look for the lighting that we're going to put. So you know, there's a load of criteria that are quite standardized, but
Mhm.
the end project, we haven't kind of worked it out. So I have to lead in an example that things can kind of go wrong, get stressful. And I don't mean go wrong, but, there's a means of working things out as we
Mhm.
go.
Yeah.
And, as I say, even teaching my son the other day with some artwork, it's like, creative things aren't necessarily wrong. There's just potentially a better way to
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah.
And we kind of discover those as we're going. And we're even along a project, even with years of experience, you can design something. Then, actually you go to bed and it's not until you're relaxed, you've got emails not going, your phone's not ringing, you suddenly think, actually, I could completely simplify that
Yeah.
by doing this, this, and this. And then suddenly, because you've got clear thinking, you don't have the pressure and everyone else, oh, what do I do next? Where does, and
Yeah.
I need a bit of me time, but also to get the team supportive, it's, you have to offload, show by example, and then
Mhm.
allow them to kind of get on with their bit, and let them have their creative input and learn along the way.
Yeah. But I bet it's difficult as a leader as well, because I think, in my opinion, creativity, it's not binary. It's not right or wrong. Is it?
Yeah,
You can't, obviously, functionally, you can get something that you can build something that doesn't work. But I think it must be challenging as a leader. So you're running the business and sharing the vision for the business. You're sharing the creative vision for the pieces that you're creating. But then you also kind of have to empower and give your team the freedom to have that creativity to problem solve in that way. And that's
for
part of the
sure.
reason why I wanted to speak with you, because you're not just having a vision for a business and how you want to build it, you're having multiple visions in each piece of work that you're doing. It's a different
For,
kind of leadership, I think.
for sure. And, it can be quite a complicated beast, even like the marketing aspect of what we're doing. I even had a conversation with one of my team this morning about how we're going to do some promotion on this Kiss My Art project, which I
Yeah,
briefly mentioned before. And, she's come in to help with some of the video and the marketing aspect and the kind of storytelling behind some of the projects.
yeah,
And actually, what I want her to do is actually, put something down, put it together,
yeah,
and because of what she thinks. So then, at the end of it, it's easier for me to go, you know what, that works, that doesn't look right, or, you know what, that's brilliant, let's move on,
yeah,
because then she's got an idea of, okay, I've got this creative freedom to put something together, and that's fun,
yeah,
and I want them to have that expression, but also, you know, they've got great ideas. Youngsters, have got, a new vision, a new understanding. They're hungry
yeah,
to test things. I'm hungry to push the boundaries and lead with my, you know, the cutting edge work that I do. I want others to think, wow, that guy's doing some cool stuff.
yeah,
But it's for the benefit of my own stimulation. Whereas with the team, it's like I can't think of everything creatively. So, you go challenge yourself and then
yeah,
come to me, and actually then we can critique the work. And that actually works really well because certain things advance quite quickly, and then it's easy to just kind of fine tune it
yeah,
afterwards. But that creativity encourages them to test things and get things. They can make a mistake, but it's easy
mhm,
to kind of go, you know what, I really don't like the look of that, so we don't do that anymore,
yeah,
and that's cool. But you learn by on the job, but you learn quickly as well, I find.
yeah, yeah. It's an interesting process. And in terms of you being a leader, then, are you kind of an accidental CEO, or was it always the case that you were going to build your own thing?
Yes, always from an artistic, and a creative perspective. I've had an burning ambition, and a kind of, even the explaining my story kind of might help a little bit. But I grew up in Colchester, which is England's oldest recorded town,
Yeah.
and we had the old castle there. We'd go on school trips every year, and it's like, oh my, just as a kid, just did not appreciate history and
Okay.
cobbled streets where I'd try and ride my skateboard, and watching these videos in America, these cool skateboarding places, and it's like, God, this place is just, it's so old, and I want to move forward. And
Yeah.
I'd watch these early James Bond films that Ken Adam created, these amazing sets like the Goldfinger house and the Doctor No house. So in these kind of that view from the 70s of what the future was looking like, I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. And Star Wars came about, and it was this kind of futuristic look of that didn't feel too far down the road. It kind of felt realistic. And I thought, well, that's what I want to, I want to shape the future. I had this burning ambition that, okay, this castle has been here for 2,000 years. I want to be responsible for a modern version of a castle that's going to be here for 2,000 years, and the kids go to school and, learn about it. And I thought, well, why can't I do that, and put my own spin on creativity and materials? So I'm a big believer in new technology, the latest materials. I want to celebrate technology. I use lighting in my work, computer controlled machinery that kind of helps build my stuff. I love this precision arrangement of my work. There's a lot of these uniform forms, and that is very deliberate because it looks beautiful under the light. So you'll see even the ribs on the wall creates these lovely shadows. So it's all about texture. And I first kind of learned about lighting through these films. It's like, well, what makes these films look so unbelievable? And it's these strips of light down the glossy floor where Darth Vader's walking along, or these just things that, and it was lighting that I picked up on, this magic that can transform a space. And when I was at university, I was DJing at these little nightclubs, and they're pretty grotty spaces, but then you put a few lights in and a few little bits, and suddenly it transforms a grotty space. So the power of lighting and how it connected with people, I was like, well, that's my secret power. And then I've used it ever since. So not sure if I fully answered your question then, but it's
I think you did. I think you did. It was about whether or not you were going to do that for yourself, or whether you were going to go and work for someone. Was that always the plan?
So yeah, the short answer now was, I knew that I had something to do, and you need a team of people. I love collaborating with people. Did I ever imagine myself being a CEO or I wasn't business driven first off. It's creative driven and contacts, and I still believe that the contacts are key in a business world. You have to have the structure and the business and procedures and systems, and that's stuff that you can learn, but you have to have an inbuilt hunger for the thing you do. If you're, I'm going to say, if you're a sports person, you just have to do a physical thing. And I used to really want to do the sporting aspect, but the creative urge overtook, and then it takes up so much time that it's difficult to spend enough time training or boxing or keeping fit to keep these things going. So the CEO, I never thought of it as the CEO, but certainly I'm the spearhead of a vision, and that's definitely, I've always had that for sure.
Yeah, fantastic. And was it what you expected it to be? Because it sounds as though it's quite an organic process. It sounds like you were really passionate about what you do, and then needed the people to help you deliver what you do, and so you have to empower them and you have to, develop them. And it sounds as though you really enjoy doing that.
For
But
sure.
was it what you expected?
So I'm going to say, in the early days, when I left university, I was working for a PR and events agency, which was a kind of, it was a 9 to 5 in the office, but then we were doing events during the week and at the weekend. So, it's kind of working, let's say a lifestyle, because the job, you're out doing events, you're working with some cool people. It was a lot of fun, and you're kind of getting paid for it, but it was all consuming. And then so I was trying to do some of my design work on the side. Someone asked me to build a bar in their house as kind of one of the first bigger projects. And it was very difficult to work all weekend on a big event that you're up all night, and then come in on a Monday morning, go and do your events work, or take some time off to then go and build a bar in someone's house and then go back to the events work. It was punishing. But as a 24-year-old, I was, it did not bother me at all. I'd happily work all hours of the day. So I'm working hard is not a problem. And the business then just kind of grew that it was taking up more and more time, which is the case of, well, hang on, I need more people, and then you need people, and then you've got to kind of educate and work with them, and you rely on them. And you've also got their problems, and, there's dealing with. So it's that aspect of didn't realize how difficult it was going to be managing other people. That's
Mm.
probably the difficult thing. And even nowadays, um, I still work lots of hours and I enjoy that. But,
Mm.
when you've got family and other things, you kind of, you have to allow for some family time. Otherwise
Yeah.
your wife has kind of got the hook around the neck and you're kind of getting dragged off. But
Yeah.
so from a business point of view, I love the working. And did I realize it was going to be so hard? I don't think of it as hard because I choose to do it and it's my passion. And I feel
Yeah.
when the passion disappears because it's the painful front of, oh my God, I've got to crunch some numbers that, mean the
Yeah.
business pays for everything. And, then it kind of loses the finesse. But,
Yeah.
so yes, business can be hard. Managing cash flows, that can be hard, as I'm sure a lot of people know. But you've got to have a passion for it, and that's the thing that I feel blessed. I'm
Yeah.
doing something that I love,
Yeah.
so
It's important.
I think that's very important.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And so you spoke about the early days. A question that I always like to ask, and people are interested to hear: if there was a blooper reel of your leadership career, what would be on there? Have you ever sort of had a "oh, if I knew then what I know now" moments?
Um, you know, I'd like to be able to think of something hilarious that would be really funny, but I think there's evenings where events and things just become stressful and everyone's tired, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a thing of um, not so much it's not ever losing your rag or your stress or your cool, because it's like you know I kind of, if I'm really stressed, it's like I'm almost plowing into stuff where I almost sometimes can't talk because I just got to
Okay.
get on with
Yeah.
something, and that just saves me kind of boiling over, because it's
Yeah.
like, right, this is what I need doing. This is how it has to go together. Let's get on with it. And then
Yeah.
I'm showing someone that's how you do it. And probably sometimes there could be a more tactile way of like, okay, guys, we're all tired, we're all stressed. This is what I want to be, and so but that's just the way I am. It's a kind of, I want to lead people, I want to show them this is how we want it to do. We
Yeah.
want it to work, and I'm quite a physical person, so I in the things that I make, they're tactile. I want to touch them, stroke
Hmm.
them. I love the feeling of materials, and I think that that's just part of my nature. There's a physicality to
Yeah.
how I work. Sketching, drawing, everything is there's something kind of materialistic and tactile,
Yeah.
and I think that's reflected in my work. The digital age of, I suppose, the systems and organization, everything, that's it's incredible. But that's probably more out of my I need someone who's much better at that. My wife is amazingly organized, spreadsheets and everything that
Yeah.
are, and they're very, useful in our business and, imperative. But,
Yeah.
I prefer to be sketching and be free and loose. And
Yeah.
so, so that's a kind of probably a different description to probably most of the people that on your previous
We've got
interviews.
lots of different answers, but I get it, and I think you're passionate about what you do, and you need to get things done. In
Yes,
terms of like, you need to do the installation, you need to do the manufacturing, you need to. So I guess as a leader, you'd almost need to sit on your hands if you
yeah,
were going to sit back and sort of more coach people under pressure. I
for
understand that,
sure.
that would be challenging because it's your baby as well, isn't it? You've birthed it, you've created it, you've thought of it.
For sure. Well, I love the creative process. My best asset, 100 mile, is my creative ability to kind of create virgin ideas that
Yeah,
just come from nothing and nurture. But
yeah,
you need a team to make them. And
yeah,
it's the
yeah,
the team then can come on board, and then get on board with the excitement and the energy. And I have to have that at the beginning. How tired I am, or it's like, right, because we need the next project, and
yeah,
I'm working on designing a fancy Christmas tree that's going in a shopping centre somewhere. But we go from a clock or a project in Miami, Malibu that we were
mhm,
doing last week, to then a Christmas tree in a shopping centre in you know somewhere on the west coast of England. But it's so it's quite diverse. But it's that my best assets are the creative aspect, and when I can work on those to an extent and pass them on to the team, that's where that's when the magic happens. Is it kind of the team effort can really get going,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so it doesn't one doesn't work without the other.
No. Do you find that your creativity crosses over into your leadership style? Are you sort of problem
Um,
solving for your team, or do you find it crosses over in any way?
yeah, I mean, we're constantly problem solving to an extent.
Yeah.
There's okay, sometimes you come up with an idea, then the budget is sometimes slashed. You're working through a project and someone it's like, okay, you know what, you did have this much, now actually we've spent more on the other bits of the building, and because it's a big
Yeah.
long project, and they
Yeah.
suddenly, well, suddenly now we've got this much, and you've done a load of design work and engineering drawings and plans and calculations, and then you've got to kind of just change it because they can't afford to spend that money, and you can't you can't, you have to still pay the team, so
Yeah.
that means you can't spend the money on the materials for that project. And so, yeah, there's changes have to happen and you have to be adaptable. But yeah, in terms of my leading, my leadership skills, I'm solving problems, but I want them to come to me with solutions and ideas and suggestions, not
Yeah.
be afraid to kind of say, okay, Ben, we've got this problem, but also here's what I think we do about it. And that's
Yeah.
what I want, that's what I encourage them to do. It's not
Yeah.
like, you know, don't come to me with a problem without some, be, not being scared of here's a solution or scared
Yeah.
to have an opinion, because, I want that. Yes,
Yeah.
there's always going to be problems as, things change so quickly.
Hmm.
Be comfortable with, yes, here is an issue, and this is what I think we should do about it. And I can say, well, you know what, because of this and this, that actually won't quite work, but that is a good idea, and we can use that element, or and then they learn, and then
Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
time they've got a
That's the
problem,
growth.
it's easier. So,
Yeah.
and then as the team grows, they can pass that on to the next person, because they're like, well, I know Ben's going to prefer this because he likes working with these materials more than this one, so
Yeah.
he would choose to solve that problem this way. And
Yeah.
that's how it works.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And so, are there leaders that have influenced you?
Yeah. Definitely so. And definitely, contacts different business people. So I'm going to go back to actually the PR company and events company I worked with when I first left university. It's run by two brothers. The main guy at the top, Damien, very clever, well-connected guy, and it's relationships. It's kind of the networking. It's the putting energetic people together, and a young team who are kind of hungry for you know changing the status quo. Kind of proving how to do things differently. Being innovative,
Yeah.
having new ideas, and I it was brilliant to be part of as a kind of youngster, and it kind of gave me an insight into an interesting world in London, in the world of events and media, and music, youth marketing, because it's even how because that was before social media, so
Yeah.
we were responsible for creating experiential events. And so I was designing spaces where I could use lighting that needed to have an experience for a brand
Yeah.
that would give the brand a return on, an investment of their marketing. And basically we would trial product and get people excited about the product. We do guerrilla marketing campaigns, and, sitting around a room full of creatives, kids. We were young, we were like, I was like early 20s. I was like 21, 22 when I started there. And the team was all under 30, I would say. But, team of big ideas, people, I suppose, to an extent, trying to prove themselves a bit, but also just genuinely good ideas. And they're not afraid of things.
Yeah.
They're not so experienced. They're scared of getting burnt again. Or
Yeah.
does that make sense? So
Yeah.
for me, that was a good learning. And then, another guy, Keith Granite, who I'm working with now again. He's taken on the license for Fred Siegel Home in America,
Mhm.
namely in California. So he's got some of my homewares there. He's a very well connected person in the design world. And it's old connections that you kind of don't know kind of where they're going to come in later on in life and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's great to be, reconnected with Keith and have some of my work in the beautiful new showroom. And the he actually runs a really good book, which you should, which I'd like to recommend. It's called The Business of Design,
Okay.
and so Keith Granite, he's the author of that book, but has a huge background in kind of in business design, leadership, kind of. So he's someone that's been pretty influential on me, and recently has been a good person to work with. So
Amazing.
yeah, they're two prime examples for me.
And the Keith Granite book, is that the crossover between business and design, or can you?
Yeah, well, I think it's, let's say, like myself, I set up a business with a hunger for creating things that I wanted to do. I had an
Yeah.
amazing network and connections that allowed me to bring work in. I had work coming to me because of my creative ideas.
Yeah.
Running a business where you're making money and organizing teams and having time for a life
Yeah.
outside of this, it's almost a blind ambition because you're like,
Yeah.
oh well, I'm going to do this whatever it takes. And
Yeah.
sometimes like an artist, you're working in a studio 24 hours a day because you just want to get this thing finished to the point where you're driving yourself into the ground.
Yeah.
You're kind of living and eating in a studio, and it's kind of not terribly humane sometimes, but you've actually then got to become a business person, and then you actually get to the point where you then have to learn, think, hang on a minute, I could do things much more efficiently, much better, and you need
Yeah.
to be educated on that. And so you need to go somewhere in the design world who can um, you know pass on skills. And this is a way of running a system. This is a way of dealing and attracting new clients, holding
Yeah.
on to clients, nurturing relationships. There's
Yeah.
I'm doing so many roles in a business, from marketing, relationships, creativity,
Yeah.
the conceptual stuff, to delivery, to being on site, overseeing things being installed, making sure that the thing that has my name on it is what I need it to be. And that fundamentally is the most important bit. But
Yeah.
if a business isn't running properly, then it's not going to last for very long. So
No.
a book like Keith's book just has so much information on the way to run a business from a designer's point of view,
Yeah.
because you need to put people in the team that have the skills that you don't. And
Yeah.
you know I
Interesting.
could do certain things, but someone else could do them better,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. It's recognizing that as well. Thank you for that. It's I will add that to the Human CEO book list, the reading list of
Please,
business, because it's
please.
not we've not had that one before, but it sounds like an interesting read.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Kiss My Art earlier.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because it sounds like fascinating.
Thank you. Well, as yeah, I like to think a lot of my work is about connection,
Yeah.
and so I launched a few pieces, new artworks alongside some of my furniture at the Fred Siegel showroom in Malibu, and I was thinking, what's a special piece that I can do while I'm in Malibu to kind of really generate a buzz. And I had this idea some time ago, but as a special gift for either, let's just use an example. The husband wants to buy his glamorous wife as a special gift for this Christmas. It's like, not buying her another handbag or shoes or whatever. It's like, I want to buy her something special that's just a bit unique, a bit clever. And so I came up with this idea. I've got this gift box. So you buy the Kiss My Art gift box, which is a lovely little designer box with a lipstick in and some cards. And the lady, it could be lady or partner, whoever it is, it's designed for everyone.
Yeah.
Lady opens it, or the wife, she puts her lipstick on, kisses her card, and sends them back in an envelope, and then she doesn't know what's coming. And then I go away, create a beautiful artwork in 23 karat gold of the print of her lips as a piece to mount on the wall. And So that is a very special two-part surprise gift that is we're launching at the Fred Siegel showroom in Malibu.
Yeah.
And last week we had our kind of first VIP guest, who is she's actually very cool interior designer over in California, happens to be married to someone in the kind of F1 world,
Yeah.
and we're going to present her with her finished artwork next week. So that's really exciting, and we're launching it officially for the beginning of November for this Christmas, but also leading up to Valentine's, because you have this period for art and design at this time of the year. It's great for Christmas, but also you've then got the run into Valentine's, and
Yeah.
this, because of the nature of what it is, it works very well for both.
Yeah. Fantastic.
But it is about this personalized thing. It's a very unique, it's an
Yeah.
intimate thing. The kiss from your partner
Yeah.
is one of the most intimate things you can do. So as a gift, and having a gift in gold of your personal print of your lips that no one else can have, it's kind of like a fingerprint, or the
Yeah.
identity of your personal print is not going to be the same as anyone else's. And
Yeah.
there's something quite nice and being involved in that between two
Yeah.
people, where
Yeah.
I'm creating something special. So it is about me having a nice connection with these people and them celebrating their kind of love for each other, and without getting too lovey-dovey about it. It's more
Right.
connection. It's about a physical and emotional connection that they can see in a finished piece,
Yeah.
which is completely unique.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
really excited about that.
It's a great idea. And the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about was and assuming you're all right for time, but I wanted to talk to you about your take on time, because we
Yeah,
spoke briefly pre-recording. We spoke about the clock, so you can see in the background.
thank you.
Talk to me about that, please, because your whole take on time was interesting.
Thank you. Well, again, this is about connection. So I created these timepieces. I have a serious passion for lighting design and how it works with material and technology. And I created them as a decorative artwork, first of all. So it was basically, I call it a kinetic art because it's constantly moving, but it's
Yeah.
a building pattern of light that replicates the time. So there'll be 60 seconds around the outside, and as the 60 seconds build, the next minute will illuminate in sequence. Okay. And then as the next minute builds again, the next hour will. So it's a constantly changing and evolving visual and artistic representation of time. But what it's actually doing, and what I want from it, is I want people to stop, have a look. We've never been busier than ever, and we've got so many distractions, whether it's, WhatsApp, Facebook, email, phone, it's just, there's so many forms of communication, but actually we've never been less connected with people. It's like, you even think, God, I haven't called my mum in weeks, or, just there's always an excuse, but you've actually got more means to connect with people. But the connection, you send a text, and actually, but it's still a bit impersonal, isn't it? And it's kind of, and so I want connections, with other people to be more, but actually ourselves, it's like, well, at the end of the day, when I'm shattered, it's like, it's nice to sit there and actually have a few moments watching the seconds go by and think, oh, I'm appreciating living in the moment. It's like, I'm here now, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm going to take a few breaths, and it just calms you down a little bit. And it's having a connection with the timepiece. And it sounds a bit kind of out there, but that it does genuinely work. And, people do breathwork exercises, yoga, and things that just help with meditation and stuff. This is stuff for looking after ourselves. And what I want in this day and age with my work is to help people have a connection, appreciate themselves, have a little bit of time for themselves. So not only does it look beautiful and have a kind of decorative quality, there is then a bit more of a, let's say a mental wellness, be good to yourself kind of message there. And so, I wanted to change our experience with time. So that's what I'm trying to offer, a kind of a new direction of how we connect with time and see it. So it's a visual representation of time. You'll see there's no numbers. So and I might do one with numbers because it's sometimes there's a need to have it more obvious. If it's in a place, let's say it's like a train station where someone, they don't want to work it out. They need to know exactly what the time is straight away. This is for if it was in a hotel reception area or someone could sit down and discover it for themselves. They can sit and think, oh, there's seconds passing. Oh yeah, there's a minute. And they watch, after 4 or 5 minutes, they're like, oh wow, that is a clock. And then when they've discovered it for themselves, they've got, and even, they're my biggest fans because they're like, wow, I saw that clock. It was unreal. Whereas in let's say a train station, it needs to function. And, an old lady might think, well, I can't tell the time on that.
Yeah.
So it needs to have the numbers. And so I have got a second collection coming, but time is an important thing. I want people to appreciate it.
Yeah, fantastic. So when's the second collection coming? Is there a time frame for that?
It's going to be pre-Christmas. Now I've got a brand new one, which nobody even knows about actually, which is going into Silverstone. So we have there's an exciting project there, which will be opening in the beginning of November. So there's lots of beautiful automotive-inspired art and design, and as part of my inspiration for my work, I'm inspired by the way a clock dial on a rev counter would work. There's a relationship between that, the materials and the engineering processes in the automotive world and the aviation world. So the company that makes my chair frames, they do car racing roll cages and stuff. So I've got a beautiful new timepiece with a kind of carbon fiber face, which looks a bit more like a car wheel. The details are kind of shaped like a sports car wheel. And that's going into this beautiful new space at Silverstone, where they've got a kind of hospitality area and living space, hotels and restaurants,
Great.
all for enjoying the amazing facilities at the track. So that's super exciting, and that's kind of being announced in November. But so lots of exciting stuff happening.
Mm-hmm. Will the California chair be a part of that? Because did you say that's a Porsche 911?
So basically, this chair, the cushion is inspired by a 1980s 911, has the authentic houndstooth fabric that you would get in an actual 1980s Porsche. It has the kind of bolstered and the padded seats that holds you in position as if you're flying around a racetrack. But it is a automotive inspired interior piece. So this is a kind of custom version. It may or may not get into the Silverstone piece. We've got some other ideas which we're working on. I can't give too much away at this point, but they are certainly at the Fred Siegel store in Malibu. There's a hanging version and a floor standing version.
Amazing.
And there is lots of other beautiful work there. So I encourage anyone in the California, Los Angeles area to get themselves down to the store and have a look. It's a beautiful, beautiful store. And lovely place to be and go and ride motorbikes up in the canyons. Anyone that knows the LA canyons up there behind up near Mulholland Drive, fantastic place for driving your cars and motorbikes. And I will look forward to being out there myself in a couple of weeks' time.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Ben, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you, Amy.
If people are looking, well, I'd be surprised if they weren't, but if people were interested in learning more about what you're creating and the events and the items that are launching over the next couple of weeks, couple of months, where can they find out about you?
So on my website, we have the news post, that's a pretty good place under the benrousseau.com, or my Instagram is probably my kind of I'm most active there, which is the Ben_Rousseau_studio. But LinkedIn, I there's a lot of kind of fluffiness on the Instagram, and I think my more let's say my more professional relationships and discussions tend to go on in LinkedIn. So if anyone wants to connect there, I'd be very happy to have a chat. Also very open to talking, seeing if there's any means I can help people with their and own bits of advice. It's we kind of learn and as we go, and you learn from each other. So
Yeah, yeah,
I'm always learning, and always pleasantly surprised to be learning from even my staff who have new ideas, and that's part of it. So
yeah. Brilliant. Thank you for that. So we'll put all those links in the show notes, and I wish
brilliant.
you a safe journey over to Malibu.
Thank you.
Good luck with the jet lag, because I know it's not long since you came back.
Yeah,
And thank you for joining us.
brilliant. Thank you so much, Amy. It's lovely to be here.